Peace to everyone here today. I am Christ, I am disciple. Blessings be to you from the Most High. I know the Most High comes first. This stream is brought to you by LIVE Products. Live now. We're live now. You can see the array of products in front of you. We have a line of drinks, 5 different types of drinks: sorrow, fruit punch, grapefruit, Morby, and orange juice. We also have an array of products in terms of cleaning products. We have disinfectant, we have fabric softener, we have liquid detergent, and dishwashing soap. If you're in the Trinidad and Tobago area, you can place your order. You can inbox me here, or you can call 319-4788 or WhatsApp me. Let's get into what we're going to be talking about. Free Palestine. One of the topics we're going to talk about is arresting Mr. Netanyahu. But first, let's get into what is actually genocide. Mohammed Safa says there's never been a war in history where 80% of the country has been destroyed, 100% of the population displaced, and 50% of the deaths are children. That is what you call genocide. This is true. But in the Nakba of 1948, 750,000 people, almost 750,000 people, were displaced. So this has happened to some degree before, not to the extent at which it's happened now, but it has happened before. All right, let's listen to this. Okay, this stream doesn't have any audio. Okay, so let's get into some other things.
The attack was so bad that some...
Richard Medhurst from Twitter says, how can so many people who claim to be UK patriots support Israel when Israel clearly has such contempt for Britain? Well, the answer to that, Richard Medhurst, is most people don't. Actually, a lot of people do not support Israel right now. Israel's got a very bad reputation right now. But what you really mean is, why are so many politicians, why are so many people in parliament supporting Israel? That's what you really mean. And the answer to that is these Friends of Israel lobby group, which is able to influence these people because they're able to buy elections for these people. Pretty much the same thing like, why is America supporting Israel so much? And right now, Americans are being attacked in Israel. Americans are being killed in Israel. Americans are being tortured and beaten and all of those sorts of things in Israel. It's not making news, it's not front page news, but it's happening. And the truth is, the populace opinion on Israel is quite negative, okay? But the media, the governments, the people, law enforcement in these countries have been bought by Israeli lobby groups. They have bought their support and allegiance. That's how it happened. They bribed them. And so that's what's going on, and that's why that's so. But anyway, let's go to what he's about to talk about, which is really interesting. Israelis invented modern terrorism and used it against Britons and Arabs. That's barbarism. It continues today in their army, and they are not our friends. This is true. Now you're going to hear about this in this little documentary here. Jewish extremists, not Muslims, carry out the deadliest terrorist attacks against Britain's subjects in history. Today marks the anniversary of the King David Hotel bombings. So let's go into it. You ready? Here we go.
It created millions around the world.
After a bomb explosion caused by terrorists on the British headquarters at Jerusalem, one entire corner of the King David Hotel, a building of 7 stories, was razed to the ground.
Today is the anniversary of the terrorist bombing of the King David Hotel in Jerusalem, Palestine on July 22nd, 1946. The attack, conducted by Israeli extremists, remains one of the deadliest terror attacks ever inflicted against UK citizens in history. In 1946, the King David Hotel was the headquarters of UK officials administering UK control over Palestine. The massacre, which killed 91 people and left 46 injured, also set a deadly example for extremism in the region.
Men of the army and the police were working with cranes, bulldozers, drills and shovels to reach the unfortunate victims still buried in the wreckage.
Experts have long contended that Zionist nationalists were the original terror group of the Middle East. The Irgun and other groups which masterminded and carried out the King David Hotel massacre were not fringe but mainstream, and went on to form the backbone, foundation and ideology of the modern Israeli occupation forces and government. Today they want the indigenous Palestinians wiped out. In 1946, they wanted the British out of Palestine too. And, much like today, the attack was carried out by Zionists, dressed up as Arabs, reminiscent of similar attacks carried out by the IDF in recent months. The Irgun, disguised as Arab staff and workmen, planted the bomb in the main building of the King David Hotel. At just after 12:30 on the afternoon of July 22nd, 1946, the Irgun, green-lighted by the Haganah, detonated the bomb in the King David Hotel, occupied by UK officials and other nationalities. The devastating blast tore through the southern wing of the hotel, destroying the building, killing 91 human beings, leaving the victims buried in the rubble. The attack was so bad that some have argued that the bombing was the reason why the Queen refused to ever visit Israel. Some might dismiss the attack as ancient history, but in reality this is not the case. Many Israelis still celebrate and honor the attack in the present day. In 2006, a plaque celebrating the attack was unveiled, with Benjamin Netanyahu attending the event. Remember too that Netanyahu is a political disciple of Vladimir Jabotinsky, the man who founded the Irgun, the very group which carried out the King David Hotel bombing. The King David Hotel bombing was not the first or the last time Israel has brazenly attacked its so-called allies. Israeli extremists also plotted and nearly succeeded in killing former UK Prime Minister Sir Winston Churchill. In 1967, Israel attacked the American ship, the SS Liberty, killing 34 crew members, injuring 171 others. During the Falklands War, Israel also provided weapons to Argentina, which were used to kill UK servicemen, sinking and destroying British ships. There are many more examples reminding us that Israel has no hesitation in killing UK or American citizens and many others. In May 2022, Israel also killed the Palestinian journalist and American citizen Shireen Abu Akleh in what was widely viewed as a blatant, deliberate assassination. Zionist extremism has remained constant ever since the bombing of the King David Hotel in 1946. Those extremists paved the way for modern terror by using letter bombs, murdering diplomats, civil servants, members of the police and armed forces. The legacy of Israeli terror has had a ripple effect throughout the region and the entire world. UK and US leaders, however, dare not speak this history. Remember too that the Hannibal Directive means that Israel is even willing to kill its own people in defense of its interests. As we remember the bombing of the King David Hotel and the legacy it created, millions around the world are now asking a simple question. How can the United Kingdom and the United States continue to support Israel when Israel continues to murder thousands of Palestinian civilians and killed many UK nationals and officials? Why do our leaders so uncritically support the occupation when Israel has so brazenly compromised the UK on so many occasions? How can so many people who claim to be UK patriots support Israel when Israel clearly has such contempt for Britain? It's a relationship which more and more people are starting to question like never before, and demand comes to an end.
Once more, the civilized world has received a rude shock at the hands of fanatics whose wanton act is contrary to the dictates of all creeds alike and imperils the best interests of the cause that it strives to promote.
So that's the truth coming to light. Now, mind you, 9/11 also was conducted by the Israeli Mossad and the CIA, and another bombing. They tried to claim it on the planes. Of course, Osama bin Laden took some of the blame for that. But it was actually controlled demolition, and some of the buildings that collapsed were nowhere near The buildings, the 2 Trade Center buildings that collapsed. There were 4 Trade Center buildings that collapsed. Did you know that? So it was a collaboration between Israel and America to engage in a war against Iraq to weaken Iraq that had absolutely nothing to do with 9/11. Nothing. Mr. Saddam Hussein had absolutely nothing to do with 9/11. The rise of ISIS after Iraq came down. ISIS is a terrorist organization that is Israeli linked. Israel has created ISIS. ISIS is not, and it's a worldwide threat. Obviously, its inception comes from Israel. We interviewed recently an ISIS member who pretended to be Islamic and had an Islamic name, but he was really a Jewish agent of Mossad. So the strategy that they talk about from since way back in the days with the King David Hotel, back in the 1940s and 1930s, is actually the same strategy they use today. They pretend to be other people, to antagonize other people into believing that these people are the reason. The Islamophobia that happens in the world today is as a result of the Jews. The Jews, the Zionist Jews in Israel, who have caused that. And then they talk about anti-Semitic. They can't even get that right, because the real Semites they're killing in Israel and also in Palestine. They're killing Semites. So they can't even get that right. So I thought I would share this information with you guys so you would know that the state of Israel has to be dismantled. Now, there's a couple things people need to understand. So you have to know what the end game is. In other words, dismantling the nation of Israel is not going to be enough. Those people, it's kind of like when Nazi Germany was disarmed, or shall I say, broken, scattered into pieces. There were still people who believed in the Nazi belief system. In fact, Nazis literally help the Israelis today in research and other things. There are also Nazis that live in the United States of America. See, taking apart a system doesn't mean that you take apart the belief system of many of the people who may have participated in that system. And so there are still Nazis, and you know the Nazis still, there's a faction of them in the United States of America who literally say Hail Hitler and Hail Trump and all of these things. Now, they're not as dangerous and as organized as they used to be, but they're still around. So when you take apart Israel, for example, you know, apartheid was taken apart in South Africa, but that doesn't mean that all the South African people are thinking the same way. It's just that it's not possible for them to continue based on the economic cost to continuing. And similarly with Israel, when you dismantle Israel, when you dismantle the apartheid system, you're still going to have people of Mossad, you're still going to have the mercenaries, you're still going to have all these people who are sitting around, and they need to have some kind of use to them. So what I'm trying to say is, now the European countries could absorb these people into their system. Some people are going to go into prison. Some of these people are going to still be part of the New World Order. You have to think about these things. It will not be financially sensible, and it will be a shame on the rest of the world when Israel is dismantled. You got to understand something. Israel is a big market for testing out stuff. So all of the spyware, all of the information equipment, all of the intelligence apparatus, all of the experiments and tests they can't carry out in civil society, in the democratic civil society, all of the racist things that are being done in different countries, they were using Israel to try these things out. And now if Israel falls apart, which it will, it may become something else, but if it falls apart, they won't have a place to do all these things. Okay? Israel's a great market for the military-industrial complex. Other countries around the world too, but particularly Israel, they can actually pay sometimes these big companies, which are privatized companies, by the way, contractors. So these contractors get a lot of money to do certain tasks, to give, deliver certain weapons, etc. So you have to bear all of these things in mind when you talk about Israel and it being dismantled, which will happen. It will be dismantled. One way or the other, it's going to be dismantled. And you have to understand another thing that a lot of people are not talking about. See, everybody's talking about Israel and how, American contractors are used to weaponize Israel. What a lot of people don't know, and I'm going to say this because I may be the first person on here to say it, is American contractors are not just supplying weapons to Israel. They're also supplying weapons to Israel's enemies. Nobody really talks about this part, but it's very important to understand. From the mercenaries to the trained specialist military who are maybe retired or they have their private companies, these guys are not picking sides. They'll train. It's not just Iran training Hezbollah. It's not. That's a lie. Germany, America, Russia, UK, they all have their agents and their people, maybe from the private sector, but they're all in there, in those countries, in Syria, etc., training people to fight wars. Okay? So when people think that, I remember when Venezuela was in a sort of a social civic unrest. Okay? Everybody was down in Venezuela. The Russians, the Americans, the Germans, the British, everybody was down there. So let's just be real about this, okay? When wars happen, everybody's trying to profit off of it. Not to mention all the private companies that are affiliated with the CIA and NSA, all of these supposedly national defense groups in the United States of America and throughout the world. All of these agencies, these intelligence agencies, they're all in on it, okay? Like frickin' vultures on a dead carcass, okay? So this is something that not a lot of people talk about, but it's also a real thing. So when they talk about, we need to get rid of Iran because Iran's mainly funding Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis, that's a lie. They may have been funding them before, but they're not doing it anymore. And now that these guys seem to be putting up a fight, you're going to have private contractors working with these people. Okay? So that's just one major point that you guys need to know. Okay? So Dylan on X says, you can switch out Joe Biden with any Democrat. You'll always get the same result, genocide. Well, not any Democrat. I think that the squad is not for that, and they've been vocal about it. And Bernie Sanders. Now, Bernie Sanders has been suddenly kissing Joe Biden's ass, and so was AOC. And I guess, I don't know, I think they're worried about getting voted out of office or something. And I really don't care. Like, you don't have to have a political career only as a senator or congressperson. You can also continue to have civil awareness and do your campaigns. Take, for instance, Jamal Bowman, who has been voted out of office. Okay, fine. That doesn't mean his political career is over. He needs to continue to speak the truth and do his message and keep on representing his people. That's what the squad's supposed to do. Yes, you met up with DC and you realize DC does things differently, but you shouldn't bow to it. You should continue your advocacy. You should continue your message, regardless of whether the people believe you or not. You have to stand on your own 2 feet and fight. They're not going to fight for you. The Democratic machine's not going to fight for you. They're going to try to crush you. But who says you have to run on a Democratic ticket? Again, your political strength relies on you standing on your own 2 feet and make it. If you got to be an independent, go back to being an independent. Bernie Sanders, you should not be kissing Joe Biden's ass. You know, you should stand up on your own 2 feet. You need to be an independent. If you need to join with the Green Party, if you need to join with some other party, stand on your own 2 goddamn feet and keep your morality, keep your stance, keep your message. So Dylan on X, who is part of the Green Party, says, demand better, Jill Stein 2024. And I do agree. I don't think that Kamala Harris is going to be any different to Joe Biden in terms of policy. She's going to say a lot of things, try to calm people down, soothsay, but she's not going to change the policy. So those of you Democrats out there that hoping on a prayer that, you know, Kamala Harris will change her policy, that's never going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. It's never going to happen. She's 3 times more a beneficiary of AIPAC than Donald Trump. Okay? She's not going to go against AIPAC. Her obligations to her donors, and she's not going to go against them. No matter if 70% of the American population wants to see a ceasefire, she's not going to go against that. No matter that most of the young people in America, in college campuses and so on, protested this. No, she'll back Congress, you know, pushing anti-Semitism, and anybody going against anti-Semitism, speaking anything against Israel being anti-Semitic, that's what they're going to push. Okay, because they want the war machine to continue. They want these wars. They want to embezzle money. They want to, the military-industrial complex wants to earn as much money. The military-industrial complex gets the most amount of American dollars. Nobody talks about this, but most of your taxpayers' dollars goes to the military-industrial complex, ladies and gentlemen. And the rest goes to Wall Street. This is just the way how it goes. Because guess who runs America? It's Wall Street. It's the military-industrial complex. It's Big Farm. It's NRA. Okay? It's oil. Okay? Now we got Silicon Valley trying to get in there. You know, Elon Musk is trying to get in there and get his little piece of the pie. And, you know, we got people who are supposedly in Silicon Valley who are in the CIA, linked to the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, private contractors for them. The guy's collected a lot of data information. Mr. Thiel that we talked about, he's big, he's key. You know, he owes the keys to all kinds of stuff. Okay. All right, so we're gonna talk about something else here. Sonia Massey's murder was caught on tape. Police officer gunned her down. I'm not going to show you the video. You can go ahead and look at it on. It's a very distressing video. Yes, Miss Sonia Massey did not produce her ID. The police have a certain methodology behind them. She couldn't find her ID. She was worried and distressed, and she was boiling a pot of water on the fire. The police officers were worried that she was going to throw the water on them, so they said, please don't throw that water, I will shoot you. She picked up the pot of water. I think she was going to make something with it. And she said, no, I'm not going to do that. And she dropped the pot of water, and they shot her at point blank range in her head. She had reported a robbery, by the way, in her home. And this kind of fucking shit happens all the time. White officers, 2 male white officers, gunned her down, and they lied saying she committed suicide when, in fact, they gunned her down. It's found on tape. The guy was saying how he was afraid that she would throw a pot of water, so you shoot her point blank range in her head. Get the fuck out of here. So I hope that officer ends up buried in prison forever, because he had 6 other major charges against him. And I hope they bury him away for life. Because if they don't, the streets are going to get him. Because her family or whoever is associated with her will gun his ass down. He will get killed. He will get gunned down. The streets will take care of him. Kind of like Training Day. They'll get him. They'll get him. Dr. Jill Stein says, join us tonight for a virtual fundraiser. So Dr. Jill Stein is still trying to raise funds for the campaign. The FEC has delayed granting us matching federal funds despite acknowledging we qualify for them. We believe we will eventually receive these funds, but until then, we need your help to keep the momentum of our campaigns going. We will be welcoming incredible guests to join us in solidarity for a live stream on Salvador Joy Marie's YouTube, Jill Stein 2024 fundraising. So again, she's raising funds from us. So anybody saying, well, Biden, not Biden, she's in Putin's pockets or whatever the fuck they mean. No, she's raising money on her own, independently. Just because you saw her in one stupid meeting where she was with, at the time, the Trumpian head of national defense. She was sitting at the same table with them. But you wouldn't say that. It's really fickle. So Dr. Jill Stein's showing many, many attributes that show me that she's the real deal. Now, of course, anything could happen. She could get the presidency and just flip out on all of us, and all that selling points could just go down the drain. But she has a history of, being in civil protests, being arrested several times. She is a Jew. She's fighting against this war in Palestine. And she seems to be really about it. The thing about it that worries me is, what is her end game? Meaning, she wins the election, she gets into things, she announces her cabinet, whatever. Does she have any security measures to make sure she stays alive long enough for these special interest groups, for the intelligence community not to take her out? That's my question. That's my major question. Does she have something to fight against the empire like that? Because she's an ideas person and all of that, but I don't know how much defense and security. She is a multimillionaire, don't get me wrong. She's got money, but what I'm saying is, does she have? But for a multimillionaire, she's been doing some really good things. Elon Musk was the same kind of person. Elon Musk was all about, bettering mankind, and this motherfucker has changed. Okay, we are still free to talk on X, but he's gathering data. They're gathering data on us, and they're delivering it to these data information companies, they have a list that they target people on. And we're on that fucking list. Anybody who's saying something or whatever against the state or whatever, So it's like that's what they're doing on this thing. But I couldn't give a fuck, to be honest with you. My life is to see life go better. Good has to fight against evil, and fuck those people. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, this is Dr. Jill Stein. She has a good history when it comes to civil rights, and she tries to highlight a lot of things. She's also on the right side of history. She supports the Palestinians that are being oppressed. She also is against the Ukraine war. Of course, the Ukraine war is dialing down. And actually, I don't know where I have that. Oh, yes. No, just hold on a second. Yes, I did this. So the Ukrainian president, they are negotiating to end the war as soon as possible. They're negotiating with Russia right now, and they're trying to end that war, right? She's on the right side of history with that as well. She's anti-war, by the way, so definitely the military-industrial complex is going to hate her. Germany will always be on the wrong side of history. So here they are arresting a Palestinian lady, a Islamic Palestinian lady, for absolutely no reason at all except resisting arrest. Just fucking crazy. The Green Party here holding corrupt politicians accountable as a major part of Christina and for New Jersey platform. Mendez vote Green. So she's part of the Green Party. She would be in the Senate. Chinese President Xi Jinping is saying that Palestine needs to be recognized as an independent state to resolve the conflict. Again, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this again and again. All of that's well to say, get it done. Get it fucking done. Get it done in the United Nations that Palestine is now a recognized state. We don't want to hear the talk anymore. You politicians are great at talking and flapping and bumping your gums. Get it fucking done. That's what we want to know. Actions speak louder than words. Biden dropping out was long overdue, but the Democratic Party is still the party of war. Well, clearly, the genocide is still going on. And Wall Street, it cannot be reformed. It did not declare a climate emergency. It has continued to fund genocide. Time to vote Green. I agree. We need another party. The Republicans and the Democrats are full of shit. Just like in my country, the UNC and the PNM are full of shit. We need another party. We need a third fucking party. And here it is. America has a third fucking party, which is really legit. At least it speaks legit. And it's behaving real. We should give this party a shot. And fuck the Republican and the Democrats. Fuck them. Should be a landslide victory. You know what I mean? Because, to be honest with you, both parties fall short of the mark. And I wish that somehow Mr. Thomas Massey would join the Green Party. I know he has different views to them, and maybe they need to open up and be more flexible, because I think Mr. Thomas Massey, where he can, he's fighting the fight. He really is fighting the fight. We just need genuine people. And he's a genuine person from Kentucky, you know. Kentucky people are good people, you know what I'm saying? I don't believe in white or black right now. This is about people. And this election is going to represent what's going to happen in the rest of the world to some degree, you know. But it doesn't even matter anymore who's elected and who's not elected. It's about the people. You guys in the different states need to start protesting the different states. You guys need to go up into Washington, protest in Washington. It's about the people versus corporations. This is what it's come down to, you know. And the trade unions will support us. So we have to stand up to them. It's really that now. We have to express how we feel, and state to state, place to place. Hey, listen, this is a suggestion to Dr. Jill Stein. When she becomes president of the United States, which I think is going to happen, actually. I think the surge is going to happen late, but it's going to happen. When she becomes president of the United States, what she needs to do is decentralize Washington as the federal government. And let me explain what I mean. Just like how you have the federal banks, which are in different states, it's very important to decentralize the federal government from Washington, D.C. I'll explain to you why that's important for several different reasons. But the most important reason is to get more of the pulse of the people, so that the federal government may meet in this state this month, the next state the next month, the next state. Now, it'll be more mobile. But what it does is it helps people hear from the various states what are the pressing concerns of the people. And the people who need to be polled need to be the homeless people, needs to be the rich people, needs to be the poor people, needs to be the working people, needs to be the entrepreneur people. We need to have a wide polling of people in a given state, in given counties, in given sections, designated sections of the place. You know, because I don't believe the voice of the people is being heard in Congress. It's just not. The federal government has failed to connect itself with the people on the ground. And the state governments, certain states particularly, have failed their people. Now, other states have represented their people correctly, and the people are comfortable with them. But there are a number of states in America right now where even the state government, which is governed over by a governor, is failing the people. The people's will is not reflected in their governments. And this is happening all over the world. And I think if Jill Stein becomes president of the United States, she needs to decentralize the federal government. And the legislation that she passes with the federal government must be something where she is aware of what the individual states want. And the individual people in the states want, so that the representation of these people is proper and across the board. It's very important that that happens. You know, like I said, when you make good law is applicable to all situations, and nobody feels disenfranchised. Everybody agrees with the law. And once everybody agrees with the law, now you'll have people who want to conform to your system because you pass good law. So hopefully Dr. Jill Stein is cognizant of this, and that she gives more autonomy to the individual states to run themselves, as the individual states should give more autonomy to the individual constituencies of their state. because each constituency is going to operate slightly different to the other. And it's important you have flexibility to that so that people are properly represented as a democracy. Now, I've heard people say that the United States of America is not a democracy. I disagree. I think it is a democracy. I think that people cheat and steal elections. Elections have been stolen since 2000. 2000, George Bush stole the elections from the VP of Bill Clinton. Okay, Bill Clinton's VP was supposed to win those elections. It was stolen from them. Do people, steal elections? Yes, they do. Trump alleges that Biden stole the elections from him, or at least the people who were doing the election results. It's possible to steal elections, especially with the electronic media now. Okay. Before that, there was a Bernie Sanders. The elections were stolen. The primaries, Hillary Clinton, her team stole the elections from Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was supposed to win that and become the primary, but Hillary Clinton stole it from him. So they were trying to really set up Hillary Clinton to be the next president of the United States, and Donald Trump destroyed her, which is good. Because we don't want Hillary Clinton. She's a nasty person. I have now come to realize she caused the execution of American patriots who were ambassadors in Libya. Okay, to cover up what the CIA and NSA and other intelligence agencies were doing there. So. And she's all for corporate business, big business, donors and stuff like that. So she's not cool at all. Now, but it is a democracy nonetheless. It is a democracy. And, you guys have to express yourselves. You guys need to stand up now for yourselves. I'm going to stand up for myself. I speak on social media and other platforms, but you guys need to get more vocal about it. For real. And the Green Party is what I would back if I was a U.S. citizen. I would back the Green Party to take it all. And I know they have to get substantial votes from the Democrats and from the Republicans to be able to take it, but that's where I stand. Thomas Massey says, imagine a government so corporatized that you must pay third parties or give your information to get limited access to the laws you live under. Courts have ruled this illegal, so tonight Congress will vote on this and let the private entities copyright laws and codes. I am a no to this, right? And he was successful with that. They were able to kill the bill. They got more than a third majority, a third of the vote. They needed 2/3 of the majority to get it passed, and it was killed. Which is kudos to Thomas Massey, who's a real one out there. He's a Republican, but he's a real one. I'm here to tell you that Zionism is not Judaism. Zionism is an extremist cult, a rogue tribe that only worships itself. Well, Zionism is basically the nationalization of Judaism or Jews. So they made Jews a sort of a genetic people that belong to the state of Israel. That's what Jews are. So they have a geographic location. They have a certain genetic persuasion. They don't have to be practicing Jews, but that is not what Jew is. A Jew is someone who actually practices a particular faith or religion. That's all it is. It's not you can't nationalize it. So that's why Zionism is not a cult necessarily. It's just a fake something. So when they say you're anti-Semitic because you're speaking against Israel, it's like saying you're speaking against the home of the Jews. This is what they reframed it that way, but it's not. That's not true at all. That's a lie. Dr. Jill Stein's the only politician I've been seeing saying this. Dr. Jill Stein says Netanyahu has no business in Congress. He belongs in The Hague. We need to arrest that bastard. Arrest the war criminal Netanyahu, July 24th, Capitol Building, 11 a.m. And July 24th, I believe, is tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Yes. Tomorrow he's supposed to be at the Capitol Building He shouldn't even be able to make it to the Capitol building. They need to arrest him. And there is some evidence on him, so they should arrest him. This is a Palestinian. He begs the Israeli troops for his family's safety during the evacuation. Despite their false assurances, the Israelis strike as soon as the call ends, and they kill him and his family. So those are the atrocities they're doing. The Israeli government has budgeted millions of dollars to protect small, unauthorized Jewish farms in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. Underwriting tiny outposts might be meant to grow into full-fledged settlements, according to an anti-settlement monitoring group. Israeli government quietly sells millions to unauthorized West Bank settler outposts. Again, these are illegal settlements. The Israeli news channel said, "We are coming to Gaza, we're coming to Lebanon, we will come to Iran, we will come everywhere. Can you imagine how many we are going to kill?" That's what he actually literally said. So that's kind of crazy. Egypt shows its support towards Palestine by lighting up the Great Pyramids of Gaza with the Palestinian flag. That's cool. All of that's nice. But we really want policies. We want Egypt to ban doing any business with Israel until the occupation is over. So really, that's all well and good, and that's cool, but we want to see real results. Okay, so I covered quite a lot there, and let me just cover a little bit more on Twitter here, just so you guys can see this. Chuck Schumer says, "I'm closely observing the situation in Bangladesh with deep concern. The right to peacefully assemble and protest is a cornerstone of democratic society via repression of students." And Peter Dow, who is a guy on X, who's really cool, he says, "Wait, now you support protests? Where were you during the fastest crackdown of American college students?" He actually ratified the law. He agreed with the law, the anti-Semitic law. So, he could go to hell as far as I'm concerned. Chuck Schumer is a bastard. Ray Porter, he's saluting Rebel Moon. Really cool, really cool, really cool. Megatron, China is the biggest superpower that openly supports Palestinians. Today, China openly stood behind Palestine and brought representatives of Hamas and Fatah to China to sign cooperation in order to be more effectively opposing the Israeli occupation and genocide. This is cool. This is an action by China, which is kind of cool, but doesn't mean shit if they don't make Palestine a state. They need to do that, and they need to do that soon. I don't care that Israel occupies a certain measure of Palestine. After the ICJ move, they should be conducting a general vote to ensure that Palestine is a state. It has to move up to the status. They need to put a vote together, and the majority, or the whatever, 2/3 of the majority, whatever, would sign it into law. So what's very important is that the General Assembly comes together and they vote for Palestine to become a state. And if you need to have a 2/3 majority, a 3/4 majority, whatever it is, if there's that majority, then it is established as a state, and the head of the state should be the Palestinian Authority, with Hamas still having its control over Gaza. They have not been dethroned. They were voted in by elections, so they still are by default. And then they should call for immediate elections as soon as hostilities end within Gaza. They should call for immediate elections to vote for a government, and that's how they do it. That's how you're supposed to do it. It's not, Hamas must never go back as government. You can't fucking do that. You have to let the people vote again. And whoever becomes government from there on in, it's important that Palestine gets its own military. In the meantime, peacekeeping forces need to go into Palestine, ensure that the removal of the occupiers is done peacefully, and you reestablish your 1967 borders, whatever that Mr. Yitzhak Rabin and Mr. The PLO leader, Yasser Arafat, agreed to, should be enforced. And then from there on in, anything that Israel violates, the United Nations, because Palestine does not have a national defense. Palestine United Nations Peacekeeping Corps should be able to intervene and stop anything that Israel is doing, any sort of aggression. This is the way how it should be going forward. Saudi Arabia said they will help to build back Palestine, and a number of other countries have talked about helping to build back Palestine. So that work should begin immediately, and the people in Palestine should be, treated well. So what I'm trying to say is, Palestine could become this democratic state, maybe even separate from Israel. Israel's a piece of shit, a piece of mess right now. But the first thing they need to do, the United Nations needs to do, is get Palestine as a state. That's the first thing they need to do. So all this chit chat and all this talk is nice, but doesn't mean shit. Israel needs to get sanctioned, and Palestine needs to be a state. That's how it needs to go. The Israeli government minister Ben Gvir pissing on Palestinian graves. This was before October 7th. Israel is a terrorist organization, the Jewish ISIS, that's all. They're not the Jewish ISIS. They are ISIS. What the fuck? Come on, man. Palestinian factions absolutely need to make as much progress as possible in creating national unity and putting aside their differences to work together in cohesion, organized fashion before Trump gets in office, or they're going to get absolutely shafted. Well, I'll tell you this. They're going to have to work together anyway, because Palestine is going to become a state anyway. This is the movement they need to have. Why are you destroying your good TV, lady? Oh my God. She's got to have money. Yeah, she has money. It's funny as hell. Okay. Leonidas says, I'm boycotting every DC movie for the foreseeable future because the studio failed to ever sequels to Zack Snyder's Justice League. Most everything that DC has produced since Zack Snyder's departure has been deplorable. Exception being Joker. Unfortunately, I will not be paying money to see this. I don't think Joker 2 will be as good as Joker 1. I know I'm going into entertainment, people, but nonetheless. I don't think Joker 2 is going to be as good as Joker 1, to be honest. I got to go out the road and sell, guys, so I got to wrap this up. I think you guys get the point. Now, I didn't go into entertainment. Let me do a little bit of entertainment bit, even though it's more political bit. I'm going to go into a little entertainment, okay, guys? So I'm going to humor you guys. All right, so I'm not interested in Joker 2, period. I'm just not interested in it. Now, Joker, the first Joker was really good. I'm just not interested in Joker 2. I'm sorry, guys. Me, I stand on my square. So it doesn't matter if Joker 2 makes billions of dollars. I couldn't care less. I stand on my square. I'm not interested in it. Just like how I wasn't interested in Aquaman. I stand on my square. There are movies I'm just not interested in. They don't, to me, they don't bring the value that I'm looking for. So I really don't care about it. We Eat, We Cry, Rebel Moon. Rebel Moon, I'm very much interested in, but I gotta get my money's in order. So I'm gonna talk to you guys later. Guys, if you can support this channel by donating to this channel, we'll appreciate it. But if you can't, don't even worry about it. For those people in the Trinidad area, remember, we've got live products out there. So check out my products, man. This stream is funded by these products, by the way. I fund my streams this way and continue to fund them this way. Check out LIVE Products live. We're live right now. Live now. I'm going to catch you guys later. I am Christ, I am Disciple. Peace. I'm out.